Hello, everyone. I'm Shelja Rai, product manager and co-founder at Practice, and I'm thrilled to welcome you all to this hands-on session. Today's masterclass, Power BI Capstone Project, is designed to be beginner-friendly, practical, and packed with real learning. Let's start with a quick look at what's ahead. First, I will introduce you to Practice, share who we are and what we deliver, our mission. Then you will get to meet our incredible instructor, Rahul Nikra sir, whom you have already talked to. We will walk you through the goals of this cohort and then core learning begins. Rahul sir will guide you through the Power BI Capstone project step by step. We will explore the data set you will be working with. Then we will implement a Power BI dashboard for your learning. And by the end of this session, you will talk about how you can continue your learning journey with practice. So, what exactly practice is? We are a platform focused on learning by doing, whether it's building real world digital products, solving actual business problems, or working on structured capstone projects, which we will discuss one today. Everything we do bridges the gap between theory and hands on application. So, our goal is to help you join the top 1% of skilled professionals by making learning real and immersive. I'm honored to introduce our expert of the session, Rahul Nikra sir. With over 17 years of experience in data engineering analytics, Rahul sir is a seasoned solution and data architect. He brings expertise in SQL, PostgreSQL, Snowflake, Power BI, AWS, and Azure, and currently works at G-Span Technologies. Now, in this Power BI Capstone project cohort, you will gain hands-on experience using Musify Music app dataset. You will learn to analyze data for patterns and insights, understand the data structures and relationship, which is data modeling, build an efficient data model, create an interactive Power BI dashboard. These are the goals of our today's masterclass.
The idea of this masterclass is to give you the hands-on scenario how industry is working, how Power BI developer when join any company required to work with different stakeholders, how they can analyze the business requirements, how they deal with the data source analysis, what kind of understanding they build, and then actually how do a Power BI how does Power BI developer basically implement the real-time business requirements which comes from end customers. So for that, we are going to talk about all these things. And the idea of this masterclass is not only give you the basic understanding of the Power BI tool if you do not have, but also build the Power BI dashboard in real time. Also, we will give you the approaches how we can actually leverage the Google search and use the chat GPT. And if anything is not working, how we are going to basically solve this particular thing using internet. So most of the organization nowadays basically give fresher the requirements which are not up to their expertise level, and that's how industry has been working past from 20 25 years. Someone who has a basic understanding but loaded with the advanced business implementation required a deep understanding how they can do the Google searching, and nowadays chat GPT can also help us to trickle down the issues. So that's how we are going to take it over. So if you see this particular requirement document, assume that this requirement document is coming from uh, the end user or the company who is looking for building this. So if you look at it, this music streaming platform, and for that we are going to use Musify, which is our in-house synthetic data source, the practice synthetic data source, and we will basically look at this business requirement, and apart from that how we are going to approach this entire session. We'll go through the requirement document first, then we'll see the data source understanding, we'll do the real-time data modeling, we'll create the decks out of data source, and then we'll top up that we'll create the dashboard. So that's how we are going to conduct this masterclass. And now see, this Power BI canvas is completely new, and you see I haven't prepared anything. So we are going to exercise everything from scratch by reading the business requirement document, and wherever we will be stucking all together, we will look at it on the internet, how we are going to take the help of the internet. So that idea intentionally I'll put up myself while building this dashboard in a situation where I don't know something, and I will go to the internet. How can I find the solution? So that level of understanding and learning you will have, that if something is not working based on your own knowledge, then you can take the internet help out of it. So that's how we are going to build it. So let's look at the first requirement document. So you can see this is the document which is the requirement document coming from the end customer. And the primary goal is to build the KPI dashboard and every other stuff which is given into this business requirement document. And we will go through this requirement document at very high level. And while building the dashboard, we will be looking at in details. Okay. So now if you see the executive summary of this dashboard will provide the comprehensive analytics for music streaming platform, enabling stakeholder to monitor user engagement, content performance, revenue metrics, and operational insights. So when it comes to these four key major areas, that's how when we start gathering the business requirement with the end users, we basically look at these key terms in the requirement. What are these key terms and what are the meanings of these key terms? And then obviously during the business requirement analysis, we receive the target audience understanding. And the reason to talk about the target audience is to build the dashboard from the perspective based on the target audience profile, their needs, and then what kind of data they would like to consume. So that's the whole idea, to talk about the target audience. And then dashboard objective. What is the primary objective of the dashboard? What would be the success criteria or matrices which we will be looking at? And then going further, these part like kind of KPIs we need to calculate, and in what particular area, like content performance, revenue and subscription KPIs, engagement and social KPIs. And then further it is down to the dashboard structure, like executive overview dashboard we need to create, that would be one page. Another user analytics, and another page would be content performance dashboard, revenue analytics dashboard. And we'll go through in details when in this session we will be building these KPIs on the pages, playlist and social engagement, and the data requirements, and then a data relationship. So these are the tables which we are having, and then measures what we are going to create, filters what we are going to apply, and look at the data models hierarchy and put up the KOT understanding, data security, deployment. So this is end-to-end complete capstone project requirement kind of thing, which one can actually look at it and then build the extensive dashboard out of it. So that is the high level of document. Let's look at the data source understanding. So for that, we have created a synthetic data source. We have this Musify app database, which contains all these tables like album, artist, genre, payment, playlist, songs liked, songs genre, subscription, user, their listening history, and playlist follow. So this particular data set, if I talk about this particular data set, let's look at the tables first. So you see app.users. So for this, we are going to connect our Power BI dashboard using Postgres SQL and live. And this particular session is going to be used this entire data set which is available and has lot of data itself. So you see this is the user table which is having the basic user information. Since this data is created synthetically, and that is why you can see a different kind of emails which are not exist, but just to give the understanding, their first name, last name, their subscription type on which the subscription is created, and the email itself. So that is the user which is at base level. The second table is primary. Second table is songs. So you can see this songs table. So that contains the song title, right? What is the duration in seconds? And you can just file URL for MP3. This is again the not workable file, but we have generated just to generate the synthetic data. And then we have the album ID and artist ID. That means this table, songs table, is connected to the albums table and the artist table, and we'll go through those particular tables as well. So first we look at it the album table and also the artist table. So whenever we get any business requirement and customer give us the uh, data data source access, so we start with just looking at the basic understanding of the data set. So now let's look at the album. So if you see, this album ID is there, album title is there, on what date it was released, the album URL, which is synthetic URL, and then which artist it is belonging to. So we have the artist ID in this table as well. So that's how this album table is there. Now let's look at the artist. So these are the artists for which we have the biography, artist name, their profile picture. So this is how this artist table is created. Now I would like to basically generate a kind of diagram. So if you see in the Postgres, if you use the dbeaver, so if you look at and connect Postgres using dbeaver, you have the option, just double click on the table and go to the, so when you just double click on any table, you see the properties. So you can see the column names, their data types, and their default collation, and the default or whatever the default constraint it has, the sample data which will visible for you, and then the diagram. So this diagram basically will be showing to you that what kind of relationship it has with what table. So if you see this diagram, the album is connected with the songs and artist, and when you click on this relationship link, then it will show album ID from albums to songs tables are connected, and artist ID to artist table with the album table is connected. So similarly, if we go to each of the table, we can see how these tables are connected. Now you can see the genre. So songs and genres are connected. Now there must be a songs table which is connected with the history ID, songs liked by the end users. So this is how these data analysis we can look at it, and you can click on any of the edges. So it is connected to the album ID, it is connected to the directly with the artist ID from artist table to songs. So we will provide that probably post session. We will share the details with you to use this data source in future. And then songs liked by the end user. So this is how the songs users and songs liked table is, the relationships are working. The songs genre, like which particular genre ID it is having. So you can see the data for song genre, and then you can have this genre understanding. For example, Graham, Gospel, countries, jazz. So these are the different genres, or I would say taste of the end users, in which those songs actually falls in. And then we have the subscription table, which contains the data, which payment method ID user used to subscribe the subscription of the given services. And users I have already shown to you. Again, you can see the database diagram. This diagram calls the entity relationship diagram, right? So this is how you can actually see this particular users table, how it is connected. It is connected with songs like playlist, user playlist follow, user listening history, subscription, and payments. And then user listening history is actually connected with the songs user, because if I'm listening any song, then I need to keep the song's listening history into the history table so that I can track it down, which user actually listen the which particular song. And then playlist again, so it connected with the user ID playlist which user has created and which playlist they have followed. So these are the number of tables we are going to use in our dashboard. Let's start with the real time. As I mentioned that this workshop is considering that the basic understanding you have, and we are jumping over directly to the data modeling, right? Let me connect this with the data source. So what I'm going to do, before even loading the data, I would like to go through the basics of the Power BI desktop, and then I would start loading the data. Go to the internet. You can download Power BI desktop. When you go to the internet, all you need to just go to this, search into the Google. This will give you the URL of the download, and directly you can download it. So this will download you based on your machine, whether it is 64 bit or 32 bit. This will load the setup, and you can see this setup will be available for you, and you can run this setup and install. Once you will complete the installation, you go to this Power BI desktop. You can click on this, and this will open up the this interface. So by default, you can see this interface will be available for you. And the basic of the tool, there are like left hand side pane and right hand side navigation pane. So here you can go to the view, and by default the filter is the area by which you do the page level, visual level, and report level filters. You can see the bookmark from here. You can see the selections, which I will show you during how to use the selection bookmark, and the sync slicer as well. And this pane area show you the data, whatever the data we are going to load. They use the visualization on the dashboard. This is the area. And on the right hand side, you can see you have the report view. So you have this canvas on which you can switch in between the report view. This is the table view, which will, whatever the data we will be loading, this will give you the basic data. And then the relationship data, during the data modeling, we'll see this particular view, model view, which will show the relationship between the table. And then a DEX, which is the analyzer, which is the new in the latest version of the Power BI desktop. So this is the basic kind of things of the canvas, and canvas related properties we can go through from here to different settings and everything. So that is what it is. And just to insert any other things, modeling related things, view have already shown to you, optimization related things, you can navigate through from here. Okay. So this is the basic of Power BI desktop. Now I'm going to load this particular data. So you have plenty of sources available. If you click on more, so Power BI supports file type data sources, different databases, Microsoft Fabric nowadays there. So that is also available to connect Power Platform. Microsoft has legacy ecosystem of Power Platform, Dataverse, data flows, which we can connect. Azure related services we can connect. Online services like Dynamic 365, Salesforce connector, LinkedIn navigators, GitHub. So all those connectors are there, and any other related stuff we can connect. So whatever it is needed, it supports more than 100 connectors, including all the type of sources. For us today, we are going to focus on the database type of the connection. In database itself, it contains a number of connectors like SQL Server, Access, SSAS, Oracle, MySQL, Postgres. N number of databases are available nowadays. Those are the connectors which are available. For us, we are going to cover up the Postgres SQL database. So what I did for this, what I need to do, I need to go to the get data, connect with the database, select the Postgres and connect. This will ask the database server name, database, and the import mode. So just give you such understanding. Import mode is the type of connectivity which actually enables the caching and direct query. So in the import mode, Power BI connects with the source and bring the data into the Power BI file itself in the PBIX format. And there is a certain limit. And direct query mode is always go back to the data source and run the query. But I would suggest go through the internet over the import mode, direct query mode, because it has multiple interview questions available, and mostly basic level of interviews basically happens on the import mode, direct query mode of different questions. So for this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect this data source, putting up the server name and the database name. And I'm selecting the import mode so that we can do the transformation and write the DEX, the complex DEX on the data source itself. Once you pass the credentials and every other stuff, this will show all the tables, whatever the tables are available in the schema. So I'm going to select all the tables and then just click on the load. This selection of the table will show you the top 100 rows. So this will give you the columns and every other stuff. I'll click on the load. So this will load all the data from source, and depending upon the size which is available in database, the data size, this will take for a while to load the data. If it has millions of multi-million records, then it takes time to load that particular data. So now you can see, I can see data pane over here, and we can see all the tables. And when I switch to this table view, all those tables and every other stuff are there, right? So for this, if you see, as part of our data modeling exercise, what I'm going to do, I'll go to this data model, and Power BI Desktop has one feature, that is auto detection of the relationship. Okay. So, and it detected the auto relationship among the tables between the column names and created the relationship. There are two type of relationship, active and inactive, which we'll go through in a while. But since I don't want to give you this understanding auto detection, because during the data modeling, I would like to set up a relationship manually. So for that, I deleted this and save this. Let me save this report. So just Musify cohort. So you can see there is no relationship, assuming that columns are not same in different tables, and there are fair chances that columns names are not going to be same in different tables. So you have to create the relationship manually. But again, I would like to show you, if I click on this auto detect, this will detect auto relationship, give you the message found 15 new relationship which has been added to the semantic data model, and this will create all those relationship automatically. All right, but we are not going to do, we are going to do that particular thing just to understand multiple scenarios. Like if you see, there are like subscription, between the app subscription and payment, there is an inactive relationship, and why this inactive relationship is created, we'll find that reason itself. So I'm just deleting it, and I'm going to it. Before that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just rename all the tables, and that is what you can do directly, just editing this table, or right click on the table, edit query. When you do the edit query, this will open up this canvas. So if you see all the tables which are there, I can directly rename. So this is the Power Query editor. Let me show you again this from the beginning. When you click on that any table, go to edit query. So here, what I can do, I can just go to this, and I can see the connection for which it is connected, and this will give the connection. The second navigation will give me the table name, right? So I can easily remove the table name just by clicking over here. Click on, select the table name, just click F2 and remove the schema name. So these are the basic standard practices we have to do as part of real implementation. Okay. So once it is done, we have three options. So we don't need to jump over directly, click on this. So during this session, I'm going to give you the basic theory part of the features and how in what scenario we have to do what. So when we open up any Power Query editor for any edit or any other thing, we have to basically choose the option. If I choose the option close, then the changes what I have done are not going to apply. If I click on the apply alone, then changes will be applied to the Power BI file, but this Power Query editor is not going to be closed. If I do the close and apply, the changes will be applied to the Power BI file, and this Power Query editor will be closed. Okay. So I'm just going to do this, and all the model related changes are applied now. So you can see we have updated all of those things. Now, based on this requirement, so first question comes in a mind. Let's suppose if I have given the data source new and nobody has provided me the database diagram, and let's assume you have the read-only access, somehow you cannot see the database diagram. How would you basically see the relationships and any other stuff? So from that perspective itself, I'm going to give you the understanding. How would you see that particular relationship and all? So for that, what I'm going to do, going to the manage relationship and go back to the database. In that case, you can have the data set available in CSV Excel file as well as this the direct database connection. So what you can do, you can go through the user table, see all the columns, and as I mentioned, we are going to create the relationship. So I just go through the song table and look at it, the song table itself. So the song ID is there, and then user IDs or album ID and artist ID is there, right? So for that matter, we have to also look at the album table and artist table. So for that particular purpose, I can just go through these tables, find it out, understood like artist ID is connected to the song table. So I will come to the directly get to create the relationship between song, select the album ID, select the album, and again select the album ID as well over here. And here you can see cardinality. So we have many to one, one to many, and one to one and many to many. So there are these four different type of relationship. I'm not going to cover a much details, but at a high level understanding. So many to many means that the table on left hand side song has the relationship between the album table many to one. So there are many songs available for which the album ID is repeated, but album contains unique IDs of the album IDs in the album table. So that is what many to many. One to one relationship, when I select this will give the error because since the album table has the unique album IDs and replicating the multiple album ID in the songs, therefore it is giving the error saying column ID in table songs contains duplicate value for 68. So it is saying that 68 album ID is multiple times repeated into the songs table. So this one-to-one relationship is not applicable from left-hand side table and right-hand side. Both the tables are having relationship uniquely, then only this one-to-one relationship is possible. One to many. So what we are trying to do, we are creating the one to many relationship between the songs and album. Since song is having the duplicate album ID, so that relationship also is not going to work out. Okay. But I would do the flipping of this one. If I select the album table first, so for that I need to just remove from the right hand side album table and first select the album ID first and the song table next. And now you can see one to many is available and there is no error. Why? Because we have changed our left hand side to right hand side relationship flow. That's why one to many relationship is working out over here. Okay. And then we see many to many. This will also give the error. Relationship has the cardinality many to many. This should be useful if it is expected. So this many to many is not applying because the data which is available in both the tables is not sufficing that requirement. So in that case, one to many is going to be the right relationship without any error. Yeah, Hari, you have question. You're asking, can we able change many to many relationship to one to many relation? Yes, Hari, we can do that. For that, we have to do the data cleansing in the Power BI, and I'll explain the example. So I'm just going to create this one, and just for your understanding, one more thing I would like to talk about here, the active versus inactive relationship, because there is a scenario over here. So I'm just going to create this one to many relationship, and cross filter direction is the one. So if I select the cross filter, then data, if apply the filter on album table, then the filter works on the only album table, but not on the songs table. But if I select the both, then I would be able to filter the data or apply the filter on both the tables, and then apply security filter in both direction. So what does that mean? Whenever we have to apply the row level security, we have to basically select this particular checkbox, and whenever we filter the data based on the logged in users, this will apply to on these two tables and filter out the data. So for example, Hari, you have one songs for which you have done the purchase or anything like that, or subscription, then you will see your only songs listed out there. If Saisha or Shivan will logged in into the Power BI dashboard, and records are created by, if you see the created by uh, column has the Shivan ID, Shaisha ID or Hari ID, so respective data will be filtered from these two tables itself. So that's all about these features available, and I'm just going to put the relationship. So you can see this is the active relationship, and what is the active relationship means, that you can see the relationship is allowed, and make this relationship active checkbox is checked. So that's how it is. Now, if you see our database, the song table is having the album ID and artist ID both. So we have created the relationship between album and song. Now we are going to create the relationship between songs and artist. Okay, in the Power BI again. So I'm going to select the artist, select the artist ID, select the songs, and select the artist ID. Okay. And if I create this, this is going to be active relationship. But let's suppose song and artist, I'm deleting this one. And I select the song table over here and artist over here. So yeah, that will also work out since it doesn't have that level of relationship. So this table is related. So now we have sorted out this relationship between album and artist. Okay. Now you see album table is also having the artist ID, right? If I would like to create the relationship between album and artist, let's see what it is saying to us. So album, artist ID, and artist ID. If I'm creating this active relationship, it is giving me the there are ambiguous paths between the songs artist, songs album, and album artist and song artist. So let's decode this one. Power BI does not allow this relationship the way it is there, and the save button is disabled. As long as I remove it, the save button is enabled. So let's decode this particular thing. While doing the data modeling, you will face this particular issue more often. So what it is saying, there are ambiguous paths between songs and artist, right? So songs and artist relationship we have created, right? Artist and songs, right? Uh, so this relationship we have created, and then album and artist, and song and artist. So that is saying that song, album, song, artist relationship, it is already there. And top of that, again, we are creating album and artist relationship because song table is already created. So indirectly, song table is created with album and artist. So indirectly, album and artist table using the artist ID is created because Power BI works on the star schema, and star schema basically give us the feature where we have to create a one to the flat hierarchy between the tables, and we should not create the ambiguity in between relationship. So this we will see, if we do not create this particular relationship, there's no harm. But somehow for some reason, if I need to make this relationship, then I just uncheck this make this relationship active checkbox, click on save, and this will appear as an inactive relationship. And how do we use the inactive relationship? I'm just giving you the understanding. So for example, for that you have to use the use relationship function. Use relationship function, right? So use relationship function actually help us to create a active relationship using DAX function. So you can see it required the column 1 and column 2, and you see the example. Some of the we are calculating some of the internet sales, use the relationship between the internet sales shipping date and dim date, and this is mostly comes in the context of date dimensions, this inactive relationship, but just give you the idea how we can use it. So if somewhere if we have to use the relationship or create a relationship between the album and artist, then to use that relationship in the Power BI model, we have to use relationship function. And that is one of the most asked intermediate level question in the Power BI, to give this use relationship and inactive relationship feature of the Power BI. So I'm just going to delete this one as of now, this relationship, because it is not required. Okay. So let me save this. Let's move on. And I'm just going to do the auto detection. So now you saw that 13 relationship auto detected, we have already created. Okay. So I'm just doing this one. Now I can create a one more table, and let me. So if you see this, all the tables we have over here and this requirement document, which is also asking for us the daily, weekly, monthly, the analysis. So we have the date tables from all the tables, right? But we have to create a date dimension, or I would say date table in the Power BI. So there are ways to create it. We are going to just use the insert model, go to the modeling part and create a new table manually. So for this, I can create the date table. I would say, let me give this dates and use the calendar. Okay. I need to pass the start date, let's suppose. And for that, for example, if I'm creating, so for that, we have to analyze what is from where the data is starting. Let's suppose if I go to the user table, and that contains the, let's say, that created at. So I need to check min and max so that I can pass the min and max date. So the data which is available in the data source from maximum until 18th of June, and it is starting from thir- 13 June of 2019. Okay. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to pass this, let's suppose hard coded 2019-01-01 and copy this date until 2025 12/31st. Now you can see date table is created, right, with a single column. And if I would like to see whether those dates are uh, created correctly, so let me pull this KPI card, go to the this earliest means it is starting from 1st of January 2019. Similarly, I go to the column of this again date and use the latest, which is 31st of December 2025. So that's how we can validate our development part. Okay. Now you see the date is single column is created, but since our analysis is going to be happen on year basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, right? So for that we have to extend the feature of date dimension. To save the time, I will bring the date from another dashboard which I have created. Okay. So we have this one dim date. So you can see, I will explain that. Let me copy this from here just to save the time. And now you can see I need to add more columns into the table, this date table. So I have created this date table. So let's copy this one from here and just creating. So you can see I have added date and year, month number, month name short, month name long, these different number of columns over here. Okay. And then you can see and date is created these number of columns all the way. Okay. And for using this table, I'm going to mark this table as a date table. So for that, I need to choose this one and select the column which is the date column on this. So this will change to the date columns and you can see the data types and everything else. Since I created this date end, during the data modeling on the column level, we have to change the data types. So this data type is basically integer and we have to make those changes during our data modeling based on the data or values available in these columns. So I go to the table, click on this, okay, and see what kind of data I have. Like year is integer, month number is integer. These are the text, week number is integer. So according to that, I will change or going forward into during the development, I would change on those things. So I'm just saving this. So this is what it is all about the data modeling at high level, right? To start with the decks, I would go through the basic of the decks, how we develop those decks and all. But before that, let's jump over to the requirement document, what we have over here. So let's look at the decks, what kind of decks it is going to create. So you can see the active users. We have to count the distinct user, something like that. So before basically creating decks for the requirements what we have and how do we create decks and all, I would like to start with the basics of decks. How do we create? What are the different notations are there and all of those things. But before that, I'm going to fix the date dimension as well, the relationship. So let's say that the date table is there, date column is it, user, and I'm just going to use this one. So I have created this relationship successfully, and we have to make sure that data type of the and format of the created at from user table and data type and the date format from date should be there. Then only this relationship will work out correctly. So for example, I'm just checking the format since data type is same at the both end. So for example, if I use the short date over here, this will change and date to only date part. And if we use the short date, then we cannot do the analysis at a time variant function basis analysis. So, for example, every hour or every, let's say that 4 hours kind of analysis, it is not possible because we have changed the date format to the short, and this basically remove the time part. If I use the journal date, this will include the date time, and if I use this particular date time, this will change. And if I leave it as is, whatever the date it is there, so this will create similarly in this way. For that as well, we have to have this date dimension created at timestamp level itself. So for example, this date table is having only date without any timestamp. Like if we want to do minute level analysis, then we have to generate the dates in this table based on the timestamp format as well. But we are not going to do this level of analysis in this exercise. So we are going to use journal date from dates and created it by journal date from here. So that format is similar at both ends. Okay. So let's suppose if we have to create this active user DEX to count the distinct active users, right? So first of all, I don't know what is the level of SQL you have, but I would do simple SQL query before writing the DEX. How many distinct and non-distinct accounts are there? So 10,068 users are there, right? And that exercise we can also do over here by putting the user ID over here, count, and then again we can bring it and count distincts. Okay. So we do not have any duplicate ID. So that is the this particular thing. Now let's look at it. So there are two type of measures, implicit measure and explicit measure in Power BI. So what is the difference between the implicit and explicit measure? So let me bring this. When any column actually we are using and just drag and drop on the field and create the uh, count of user, for example. This is the example of implicit measure. But for some reason, we have to create a measure using DEX function and add other flavor of calculations like filter or anything like that. That is called explicit measure. So that is one of the question usually at entry level or junior Power BI level developer. Interviewer will ask that what is the difference between implicit measure versus explicit measure. So we have to remember that the implicit measure is the one which is created automatically from the table, and explicit measure is one which we have to create using DAX. So that is there are two pointers on the two type of the measures. Now let's look at the same way, whatever the requirement we are going to go through this. So we are going to create measure or using DAX. For that we have to create, right click on the table, click on the use measure and give us the measure, give the measure name. So let's say that unique users. And why I have given this underscore, I'll explain this as part of our best practices to save the development time. uh, when we are building very large dashboard. So here we are doing distinct count and the column name we are giving. So this would give us user ID. Okay. So you can see I have given this underscore. So this underscore will actually put up all the measures what we have created at top of the table. If there are like n number of columns or table has large number of columns, and let's suppose I remove this underscore, so the measure is going to be placed at bottom of based on the sequence of the character. This will place at the bottom, and if you have very large number of uh, columns in a table, and you need to deal with the measure very frequently, so you will keep scrolling to find it out where the measure is. So that is where we keep the underscore at top, so that this measure itself will appear on top of the table, and whenever we need to frequently use that measure, we can easily drop it on the canvas or use wherever we need to use. That's why we are using the unique this underscore into the measure name. Now let's decode the DAX itself. So any function, there are different type of functions like time variant function, aggregated function, table level, column level functions in the DAX. But the most of the time, the calculations or the DAX formulation works like this. You have to use the function name, and then when you just do the open up the parenthesis, each of the DAX function will give you what kind of input is it is expecting and what is the end result of this particular function. So you can see distinct count is expecting a column and giving us the distinct count of the values from that column itself, right? For that matter, if I create a new measure just to explain, so let's suppose I'm going to go to the payments, click on this new measure, total revenue. Let's say I'm using the calculate. So what it is saying, pass the expression, what kind of expression you would like to calculate, and then use the filters top of that, right? So for example, I want to do the sum of the total sales. So you can see I need to pass the table name over here, payments, and then amount. Okay. So this is the expression which we would like to calculate. And if I want to put any filter, right? For example, if I put the payments and use the payment method, let's say X, then I can put this particular filter, close the parenthesis. So here the calculate function is asking for one expression, and you can pass this filter optionally, right? And this will return what? Evaluate an expression in the context of modified by filter. If there is no filter, this will calculate a complete sum. So for example, I'm bringing this total revenue, and this is the total revenue, right? And let's see what kind of payment methods we have used. So let's say payment method, we have credit card, debit card, UPI, wallet, right? Now create another, if I add the filter over here, so there are different ways to use the filter. We can use the filter function, or we can add just payment method as a field and use, let's say that credit card. So now you can see the value is changed from this number to this number. So that's how you utilize the filter itself, right? Now, if you want to filter using the different table itself, right? So you can pass the context of the this table and then filter expression. So let's say I'm using the date or date column and saying that 2020 20101. If I pass this one, if there are any transaction on this date, then this will appear on this. So now it is giving us the error. Payment DEX comparison does not support comparing value type date with the value type text, right? So this means the filter which we are applying to is not working out. So for that we have to apply, let's say today date, because the text we were passing was the text from the right hand side of the date. So that's why it was giving the error. And we have used the today's function. Let's say I pass this, let's say 360 days, not this one, today minus 360. So this will calculate automatically. So this is the construct of any of the DEX. And we can use the variables, which I will explain to you as well, how we can actually use the variables in the DEX itself. So to use the variables, let's suppose we have to use the var keyword, put up the name of the variable and assign certain value, use either hard-coded value or the the calculated value. We can also use, let's say, total sales equals to sum of payments amount, right? And then we have to return this one. Okay. Now, right now, it is returning complete total revenue based on this and not applying any filter. So for that, what we can do, we can just use the calculate, use total sales, use the date variable, and we, so what it is saying, column each, or let's say what it is returning date. This is returning as the date and the total sales is this. You can use total sum and use the, let's say, payments created is greater than equals to dates. So that's how this calculation should be working. And somehow formula is not working because this payment date is not the same as this one. Okay, so that's how this construct work. We'll see why it is not working and further in the session. So are we good so far on the DEX creation? And then we'll use the real-time DEX. This is just basic understanding how do we create the DEX and what kind of construct it required and how we use the variables thus far. So just I'm removing this one as of now, delete from the model, delete this one. So the DEX, basic DEX thing are done. And now let's start building the dashboard in real time, right? I will start the basic framework, or I would say the mindset of the dashboard visualization, because obviously we will be doing the DEX creation based on the different dashboard and all. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, that when end user or customer give us the target audience, and we they define what kind of audience are there to use the dashboard, like C-level executives. So we have to design our dashboard in such a way that is looking appealing, giving us the message in short, and the numbers or KPIs, whatever I'm going to see, those are visibly appealing in terms or conveying the message or conveying the story for what purpose the dashboard page or KPI we are calculating for, right? So There are few elements of the dashboarding side, like color, themes, using the graphics, using the images, doing the different set of color combination, gradient, all of that. So for that purpose, we have to prepare ourselves for this particular thing. So in this particular dashboard, we are going to start with the uh, basics of that designing mindset. We'll use the framework of this thing. So for that purpose, what I'm going to do, if you see one of the dashboard what I was creating. So if you see this home page, right? So this home page basically, if any user is going to land on this dashboard, they will be landing on this home page, and that is creating the user engagement and curiosity for the end user. So we create the home page in such a way that this will look for our end customer very pretty and appealing. And we add the navigations. If you see, the dashboard itself is coming from the music industry. So that's why I've used the play button to give the right context on the design side, so that that will convey the message. If I need to start looking at this dashboard, I need to click this button. All right. So for that, basic level things I have already prepared. So I will use those things in this dashboard. Let's start with the canvas itself, right? So we are going to use the canvas background. This canvas is going to be images homepage. Okay. The transparency level by default is 100%. That's why this image is not showing. But if I remove this, the transparency level to 0%, then this will appear. Now there are settings like for this image, fit, fill, and normal. So by default, it is acquiring the image size, which is not looking good. We can use the fit. This will fit into the canvas size, which is the 16 by 9. And then fill is again the same, but this will create the size based on this. So usually we should use the fit. If we want to keep the opacity or kind of things, we can use the transparency level 20%. Now I shown you the play button, right? So I have one image of the play button. I'm going to use this as part of this play button, play this. So there are two ways to use the play button. Either I can directly use the image of it, or there is another way since we need to use the navigation. So I'm just removing this one, going to insert button, and this navigation type is page navigator. So I'm just going to use this page navigator. First, resize this one, style. I'll use shape, and I will use the oval. Back, this should be blank. Action to the pages. Let's say I'm going to create home. Let's suppose I have created this menu. Action I will enable, and I would put it to the page navigation, and menu I will link up. Oval. My background. Fill. Fill with the image. Use this image. 0% transparency. And I will just disable the background. So put the background with the same color, I would say. Width height should be, let's say 50. I put it 100. Style wise, Disable the icon, disable the order. I believe this is, let me try this one. So this image is correct or not? If this one is perfect, fine. Facts, transparency 100%. And here we have style, shadow, fill with. So color code I can bring from previous dashboard. That would be quick. So this would appear the similar the way. So this will look like this. And then when we click on this will navigate to the home page. Okay. So this is what it is, and we have to keep it in center. So this is how we can add this navigation to the pages. Now let's look at this home page, right? So for the home page, we have also one image, right? So we don't need to basically remember, I have intentionally inserted one image. Mostly beginner actually start with this particular thing, that they insert the image and then try to bring this image something like this, right? And then they end up struggling to design the dashboard effectively. Why I'm telling this? Let me show you. If I'm going to put one KPI card, okay, and then just use some other filter. So every time when I click on the canvas to select some other visual, automatically, let me show this selection, automatically image selected because that is on top of the hierarchy. So the best use to put up the background image is to use the canvas background rather than using image directly. So I'm just going to use this canvas setting, remove this 100% and put it into fit. So as long as I bring another visuals, click on the canvas and then I see the canvas itself rather than selecting the image. And when we were doing earlier, selecting the canvas using the image, all the visuals went back and image was showing. So you can see now three visuals are showing, but the canvas has image background. So that is the reason we should always use the background image to perform anything. Okay. Now to design this one, since we are moving from home page to this home, and we are going to keep this as hide. So end user will always see this home page only when we will deploy this into the Power BI cloud. So I'll go to this. I need to add the capabilities by which I can go to the main page. So I'm going to insert one more image, and that is Musify icon. Okay. I do not have as of now this PNG image, but I'll provide later on most likely. Fit, put it up, use this one, resize this one. And what you can do, you can enable the action property, right? And go to the page navigation and put it up on home. So anytime when we click on this, we'll end up to home page. Okay. Now, let's suppose I'm going to use this page giving the overview, and I would like to basically navigate this particular thing from menu, but end user from overview to menu page should be coming over here. So I'm going to add one more thing. Page navigator here, whatever the number of pages we have over here, those pages would be listed. So for example, if I add one more page, you can see automatically it is added that one more page, right? So let's say revenue KPI. So this revenue KPI is added. Again, I'll be making it hidden. So that navigation quickly, I'll style it. First of all, go to the effect background, make it 100% transparent. Use the same color. Come to here, style. I just remove this fill, remove the borders. And you can see this is appearing white. So we have to adjust the properties, the style default, and hover and press and select it. So I'm going to select it and use the color code, this one. So bold, keep let's say 12, right? So this will actually change the property. If I go to the menu, so let me duplicate this one rather than creating the new page, right? So you can see the selected one automatically showing. Okay. If I go to the overview page, overview is selected, revenue KPI selected. That's how we create this particular navigation bar. Okay. And if I click on this Mujify, this will land up to home page, right? And if I go to this again, this will also land us to home page. So that's what we have created. For example, now we have to have some slicers over there. Okay. So for the slicer, what we are going to do is to make it more effective. Either we keep the slicer on the right hand side or left hand side. It's up to us. So I'm going to use the slicer, and let's say that I'm using the subscription type as one of the slicer. Okay. And there are two ways to create the slicer. If table is very large, if you see this user table contains only 10,000 records, right? Sorry, 3044 records as of now if I calculate this user. Okay. If a table which is having the million rows, this is related to the performance. So we should never use slicer or load the slicer in this way. Reason being, this will hamper the performance. So for that, what we do, we create a table, new table, and let's say that we create new subscription type and use the distinct and use the table subscription type. Here, if you see, the subscription type is created, this table, and we can create the relationship. Close this one and fill the subscription type for this slicer. Okay. So why I'm doing this particular thing from the performance perspective, whenever there is a refresh is going to happen, the refresh itself, the Power BI, we schedule the data refresh. So whenever there is a refresh operation is going to perform, the subscription type table automatically reloaded, and if we are adding new subscription type, that will be available into the subscription type table. But if in case we are not creating this table and loading the user table, so during the data refresh event, the data will be loaded into the user table, but the loading of this slicer will happen at the visual level. So let's suppose this user table has 1 billion record, and if we are loading the visual and user is navigating to one page to another page, then this slicer will keep loading every time. Or if we are filtering the data, then this other slicer visualization will have the impact. So that is why we create always during the data modeling, we create this subscription type or any other dimension tables uh, during the data modeling, and avoid to use the slicer loading from the direct table from which we are fetching the data. Are we good on this? So when it comes to performance related questions, somebody will ask, how do you improve the uh, performance of the Power BI dashboard? And we can put up that particular scenario that if there are like uh, measures the Unix slicer we are loading directly from the fact table, we should always do the data modeling, create a separate table, load that data so that at the time of data refresh or data loading, those dimension tables or master table will be loaded, and then we will use in the slicer those tables to load the slicer rather than loading those slicers from fact table directly. So this could be the answer. Then we will blank, remove the blank and do some of the operations of making it more pretty. So what we are going to do, we are just going to the effect, remove this, come to the slicer setting, no background, perfect. And then we can use visual borders, put up the relevant size. Okay, so that's how we can put it up. If we would like to add the edges, we go to the properties, go to the this, we can add the rounded. Now, when we are building a dashboard, we never just apply, or we are creating the multiple slicer. So we should not actually waste our time in the designing and again and again. Whatever the requirement coming from end user or design perspective, we have to create the slicer first. And
Yeah, just want to know like on real-time environment, most
uh
of the things when this type of dashboards will mostly use for.
yes, in the companies.
Yes, most of the projects like in companies
Uh-huh.
that high-end companies are working like top five, anything,
Uh-huh.
so that I can like navigate with that particular environment.
Mhm.
Post your tutorial, I can do some practices on those type of companies or the dashboards.
Yeah, yeah, you can use. So basically, what we are going to do, so we are going to publish this as a product. We have this website, and Shalya will go through this website and everything. So these guys will publish this dashboard as a product, as a capstone project. You guys can download it and then build this dashboard. So the whole purpose of this masterclass is to give you the understanding of the Musify data set, build the few of the calculations, and create the dashboard. And you can go to the practice.com from where you can get this particular capstone project, build yourself, and publish it to your. So some other company will ask what you have done. So you can actually show this is the kind of uh, dashboard you have created, and this dashboard, this particular capstone project will come up with this business requirement in real time. So during the interview, you can explain the entire project. This is what you have done. So this will validate your skills. This will give the interview the context. Okay, you understand how business requirement comes in, how you can translate those requirements into the real-time dashboards. So all of those validation will be there for you.
Yes, yes, Rahul, clear
Yeah,
answer.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
So
Now,
once if I go all this tutorial, I can able to understand to do any requirement can be
yes,
converted
yes,
into the required.
yes, yes.
Okay.
The whole idea of this platform, what these guys have built it. Let me log in into this dashboard just to give you the context. So if you see, I have couple of stuff. Let's say I need to do some SQL related exercise and all. So this document I'm just downloading. This document contains all the details what I need to perform. So for example, if I need to do the restaurant capacity and efficiency analysis, then this is the kind of expected output. And these are the data sets which are available. I can download it, import into the database and apply the skill. So the currently what is the problem? Most of us are actually acquiring the knowledge through YouTube or paid courses, whatever it is, but we do not have sufficient use cases, business requirement, and supporting real time kind of data sets by which we do the practice and showcase our skills. Because in interviews, mostly what is happening, people are basically giving the theoretical answers. But when it comes to having the hands on experience on certain things, we are facing the challenges. So by applying your real time skills, doing these exercise, you can thoroughly give the answers and explain, okay, these are the things I have done. So that will give the validation to you for your skill sets.
Okay, got it all. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go back to the dashboard. Let me add filter. What I can add here is, let's say, John Arya. So again, I'm going to create. So for those things, I'm just during this particular session to save the time. So not only you are building this, but you should also learn the tactics. So for example, I need to create this journal table again. So I'm going to the subscription type table here. Click on the column, select this one. Again, going to the modeling, create a new table, paste it over there. Genus. Okay. So sorry, this is already a master table, so we don't need to have this because this is not coming from any transactional table. So let me put it this, remove this. Okay. Now since you can see the values are lot of values are there, and you do not want to give the hard time to find it out or scroll down. So what you can do, you can just go to this slicer, put it up. If there are like large values, if there are like a small number of values, you can always keep this vertical list. Otherwise, you can put it the drop down and go to the this header, this one, and enable the search option so that end user will able to search it. So in the search, if I select anything, this will enable that particular filter. Okay. So that is what it is. And now, since we are onto the menu, let's create this as an overview. Put it the user KPI. So let's talk about the sync slicer. Now you can see I have created the slicer over here and but not on other pages. So all I need to just select these two slicers, copy them, and when you will copy, it will ask you to enable the sync visuals or not, right? As of now, I'm just clicking on this don't sync and then we'll explain what does that mean. Okay. And how you will enable these sync slicer and why it is important to use. And let's discuss couple of scenarios. So let's say on the overview page, I have two slicers, right? And in the user KPI, I'm just putting up one more slicer, and that slicer is Let's suppose artist name. Okay. So this contains all the artists over there. Now I don't want to show this artist to the, from some reason business requirement is saying that over on overview page I need only these two slicer, but on the user KPI I need to have the artist as well for some analysis, right? Now if I go to this view, enable this sync slicer property, and what I can do, I can click on the slicers and it will be showing the slicers, whatever the, sorry, page names, whatever the page name is there, and selected slicer. So if I put up the slicer on all the pages, I in one go, I'll click on this and this will show the page name. This is the sync property and this is the visual property. So this sync slicer property, if I click on, let's say that on the home page, I don't need to put it up this slicer since this home page is just a canvas, a navigation or the landing page. And I go to this home page overview and then click on this revenue KPI. As long as I click on this, this will automatically select the sync property and the visibility. Let's go to the revenue and this appear to all the way on the revenue KPI. Again, if I go back to this, so this is the view. If I go to the revenue, select this one, this is the same view, right? Now let's suppose I'm just, let me show you this by example. Here I'm just doing the user unique value, okay, 3004. And here also I'm just putting up this slicer 3044. So these are the two pages where we are seeing all this. Now go back to the subscription type again, and it is showing on the revenue KPI page. It is also showing on the overview and user KPI. But the sync property, you can see only the revenue this. If I click on this premium, 742 is there and it is not filtered based on this one, because whatever the filter I have applied, and I'm not just syncing this slicer selection to other pages. That's why the revenue KPI page is not filtering this particular thing. Okay, here just by mistake I selected. So and that is where it is happening. Now if I click on this and click on the overview page and click on this sync slicer, save this one, go to the revenue. Now it is showing 742. Let me show you it again. If I just remove this, overview has 3044. Revenue page is also 3044. Go to the slicer. I select the premium. It filters to 742. It is not having any impact over here. I go back to the slicer, select it, go to the sync slicer property, enable the syncing property, save it, go again revenue KPI, and it is filter it out. So that's how this revenue KPIs overview
Yes, Rahul.
pages will be showing this impact of the sync slicer.
So what you will suggest to give both sync option for both the
So
overview and revenue
so
KPI, or we
that
can
that
do
that will come directly from the end user
requirement?
requirement itself. User will
Oh,
say, okay, I don't want to see the slicer impact on all other pages. Just adjust the property based on the needs.
so mostly what you will suggest, Rahul, if in case we
Mostly if it is, so there are two type of dashboards. Basically, if you see this requirement document, so primary and secondary users like content managers, right? So the role for which we are building the C-level executives, right? We have to
yes,
understand the persona.
levels.
Yeah, analyst or managers. Mostly we build. So C-level executives are always interested. in the checking the high level numbers. So for example, I'm the owner of the this Mijify company. I'm interested to see the based on the type of the subscription, what are the numbers coming from overall view page, user KPI, revenue KPIs. So I'm not going to again go to the each page, click on the family or premium as a subscription, then click on each pages because my since I'm the executive or CEO, my time is very much precious. So I should not waste my time just clicking on this. I select the premium on the selection, quickly click on these pages, see, okay, in the premium customer, these are the numbers, this is the growth, right? So that is why we have to use the sync slicer when we are doing this level of analysis. But somebody who is doing the data analysis, the at the analyst level, right? They would like to see the impact. Okay, if I select the premium on the overview and I don't want to get the effect of the sync slicer, and I would like to see, okay, there are like number of users. I have created a report which is having the data. And let's suppose I'm doing album level analysis. So I want to see, okay, if I select the premium and student and see the overview, how it is working against it. So the analysis can deal with the different type of filters. That is where we don't need to do the sync slicer because let them select what filter or slicer they would like to use for their data analysis. But for the C-level executives, we have to always give them that feature or enable them to the level where within 5 minutes they do the entire analysis of their KPIs on the dashboard itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, Rahul. You mean to say like, each level depends upon the requirement. We need to give the sync
Sync option.
sliders.
And
Yes,
based
got
on
it.
the persona or profile for which we are building this dashboard. Come back to the requirement and create this key KPI user analysis related KPI. So we have to analyze total active users. So count of unique users with recent activities. Now, when it comes to requirements, we should not say. So let's come back because this entire cohort or this particular exercise we are doing not only from the perspective to build the dashboard, which you can build by spending the YouTube videos, 4 hours video, you can see, download the data sets and build the fancy report, right? But that not will enable you to crack the interviews of the Power BI roles. How would you uh, crack the interviews? That is something you blend with the business requirement understanding, you blend your expertise with data understanding, you blend with the different business scenarios. So that is where it is most important to understand all those things. If end user or customer is saying count of the unique users with recent activity, we have to understand it thoroughly. Count of unique users, we go back to the data set, okay, and see the data, whether it is supporting, the data set is supporting this or not. So it is saying count of the unique user. We can apply easily, count the user ID and we see, right? And the recent activity. So we have to discuss with what is the meaning of the recent activity. So it could be recent activity defined by
New registrations, new
defined by yes, that's fantastic. New registration,
a new plan change request,
no, login,
recent login,
yeah, the
registration.
recent login, okay. And let's suppose recent subscription.
Subscription plan, right?
Yeah, a recent subscription who
They're in
last seven
family
days.
or a premium or
No, recently how many users are
okay,
subscribed
subscribed.
to.
Okay, from
So
free
these are
service to
yes,
paid service.
yeah,
Got it.
no, that is the user transition.
Okay.
Whenever there is a recent, that is time bounded.
Okay. Anything that if any company say like, last 1 month, what is my capacity of
Yes,
registrations, and so
yes.
then we need to be created with recent
Uh,
activity on time bound period.
Time bound. So as long as it is coming recent and activity,
Mhm.
we have to ask end user if we do not have the understanding. If they specifically mentioned, then we have to put it up So assume that. So new registration, recent login, and recent subscription. Okay. So that is where we have to put it up.
Ideally, what is the recent time
Recent time,
subscription?
mostly recent subscription. So let's say that I I will create couple of these two using the DAX, and then we'll try to understand. So let's
Okay, now.
track it down. Okay. And then the original point what I was making is, to understand this particular thing, we have to look at whether that data is supported or not. So if let's say end user or the customer says these are the recent activity, new registration, let's go back to the data set. How can I calculate the recent registration? There is a create date, and the recent window is saying, let's say, last 30 days. So that is a time window. Okay. And I can see, yes, it is possible because we have created it. We have uh, easily able to calculate this one, recent login. So we should be having a column which will say the activity, login activity is capturing somewhere. Since this user table is not capturing the recent activity, like login activity, so that is not possible. So for that, we have to ask, okay, we need to have the login details or login history table for end users. Okay. And recent subscription. Again, if I say last 30 days, we can calculate the from which table. If I go to the subscription, so it is also having the created date and the subscription ID and the user ID. So out of these three, if, and customer says we need to calculate these three things based on these three calculations. So we have to first go back to the data, analyze it, and then only go back to the customer. These two are possible, and the formulation is this, and this is not possible. We need more data. Other than jumping directly on the the say yes to everything, just do that analysis and come back to the customer if it is not sufficing the requirement. Now let's create the new registration DAX first. So here we have already created the user ID. Okay, let's say distinct count, and here we need to use this KPI card, putting up this unique user, total unique users, right? About name and unique users. And one more thing, again, we don't need to waste our time since there is a huge expectation coming from the customer. We have to be more productive. Click on this, use this format painter, apply this, and we are done. If it is simple thing, if it is like some specific requirement and we are going to use multiple KPI cards, format one KPI card and apply to the setting to other KPI cards. So for example, for some reason, if I'm using this color, let's suppose, or let's say I'm using this color, right? Just copy this, paint it, something like this. So we don't need to waste on the time creating the border individually, all of that. And then the requirement is saying we have to new registration and recent is last 30 days window. So change to the, since the table is the page itself is user KPI, and we can put it up recent users. Now we have to apply the filter on this unique user for this uh, 30 days window, right? How do we calculate this? Do we need to create a separate KPI, or do we need to apply the filters from here? How do we do this particular thing, right? There are different ways to achieve it. Okay. One way is to basically calculate one date measure and apply to the filter. Other way is just to calculate number of days in this table and the user table, apply to last 30 days filter. So there are different ways. But for now, we'll apply the simplest one. We are going to use this one. See, since we have to check the relationship whether this Date is having the relationship, yes, and check whether this functionality is working or not. So let's suppose I'm just to check the relationship and other stuff. How we are going to check this one? We are going to use just username and we created at, and we will put one slicer over here, which we will bring in which we will bring this date column. Okay. And what we need to do, we need to use the last 30 days kind of thing calculation. So when I apply any of the changes over here, that should be filter it out. So that means the relationship is working very well over here. If not, what happened to this? Remove the created at. Okay. Now we need to also bring the date column over here, whether both are in the same format or not. So it is this relationship is not working. You can see the data, username, and created at. Give me a moment. How we can verify this? We can verify. Just go back to username should not be blank. Yeah. Now you can see date is not coming for the user. That means that relationship is somehow not working. So first of all, before jumping over to this, creating the DAX and filter out the data, we have to make sure that relationships are working correctly. Otherwise, we will end up debugging where the issue is. So the best practice, if let's suppose you are doing the data modeling and you are sure that relationships are working, you can directly jump on to create the filters and all. If somebody has given the data model to you and then you are creating those decks and all, then you have to make sure you are applying these basic data profiling thing in the dashboard so that you will make sure you will be dealing with the right set of data and you are not going to waste your time to debug the issue, right? So we have to first fix that particular issue, the date one issue. Are you understanding what I'm discussing right now? Because it is something which is we do in the real time.
So you mean to say, Rahul, if in a small company, like in a company, if we are only doing modeling and the visualization, then we need to check the relationships.
Yeah.
If in case any other support, we need to reach out to the support people that where the relation is not working and trying to
Yes.
fix that.
Fix that.
Got it.
If nobody, if you have the access to fix that, you can do it. Correct. So
Yes.
so now since you see what as part of the data modeling analysis, we see date time and format is in the date column, and here as created it is different. Though the data type is same, the date format is different. So we have to make the both side the data in the same format so that we can perform the analysis correctly. Okay. And you see this one, this date is still not appearing. So 25, 29, 1, 2, 3, 17. So month is coming. We are using the short date. Here also we are using the short date. Go back to the relationship. Created at, added this one. And this relationship is created one to one. That's why it is not filtering. Now, what I need to do from this dates to users, we have to create one to many. Save this one, close this one. Still, it is not working out. The relationship is working out somehow, but data is not appearing correctly. So this one, Okay. So let's suppose we have this 613. Let's see on 6th of June, 30th date, same format, how many users are created. There is a one user on 14, there are two users. So somehow that relationship is still not working. So we have to go back and fix that again. Where is that? DD dates. This one, edit one. So user and date. We have to put up this single site. Close this. No, it is not working somehow. I need to check that data, but let's, in the interest of the time, let's fix that later on. So to create this last 30 days kind of thing, even we can validate it from here. Let's remove this for now and use the advanced filtering is date between. So what is the date today? Today is 5th of July and we have to look at it from 5th of June is on or before. Here we have to is on or after. And what is the date today? 5th. Apply the filter. So we have these number of thing and how we can apply this. Show the total at the column level. Specific column. And then we go back to this, right? And apply the visual level filter at created at advanced is on after 5th of July is on before 5th of July. Apply the filter. So it is saying 8 users. Let's look at it. Is on or after this and this. It is saying 8 unique users while the number which is coming is different, right? So we have to look at this now. So total how many users are there which we can also count over here. Count. So 33 users are there total, but it is filtering out to the 8 users. So we have to analyze this one and how we can debug it. We can bring, so there are two things. One thing is this I'm taking the raw data. If you see the created at username and user ID, I have taken this and this is coming from the measures. So whenever you need to analyze or debug any measure, whether it is working correctly or not, all you need to just bring this, okay, apply the filter, the same filter what I have used, created at visual level, advanced filtering is or on after, go back to the 5th of June is on or before, go back to the current date, apply this, and it is giving us the eight unique users. Go back, what we are calculating? We are calculating from payments, correct? So it should be from user and user ID. Now the number is matching. Now here, if you see, the second part was recent subscription. So the number for the recent subscription should be the same calculation. Unique subscription. but from what? Payment tables. So bring this to here, made it unique subscription. Okay. So that's how we analyze the things, build the things. So now let's go back to the business requirement and check the daily, weekly, monthly new user signups. Okay. So for that, we have this table. Let's go back to this one, date table, and we have this table. Hmm. It's the week. We do have the week number or week short. Yeah, we have. Okay. Day of the week. Let's say that let's do this analysis on some chart. Now we have created this unique measure. So if you can see, I haven't used any filter for the date like last 30 days or something like that. Instead of that, I just applied the visual level filter. Now, similarly, what I can do, I can bring this y-axis on n-axis. I bring let's say that the requirement document has monthly. So I would rather go month name short. Okay. Now it is showing the blank user because month name short. So it is giving us all 10168 users. Okay. And it is giving us the month name short. Let's look at it. The relationship, why it is not working between the tables. The date is there, month, uh, month name short, month name long. Okay, yeah, since this date part is not working, the date relationship is not working. That's why we have brought it up this month name short. But for now, just what we can create, I have to check why it is not working. But for now, I'll create this month number as a column over here and month name long equals to this and use this created at. Use this one. What data it is giving me? Month name long, August, September. Perfect. I'm using any other. Remove this filter. And now you can see this chart is showing that particular stuff. Apply this filter and you can just change this users, month. Okay. And most of the places, for example, just to make it more pretty, let's focus on the visualization part. So you can see user by month I'm showing, but somehow it is not looking that great. Okay. So what I'm going to do to make it more user interactive and more appealing, I'm just going to remove this title from here, use one text box, put the user trend, put it this, s- use this one, and I go to the internet. If you have the access, Flaticon, use the user icon, and let's say I'm using this one. I can edit the use any of the type. I can edit the color, and pertaining to our dashboard color theme, I can just pick up the, let's say, color code, style, color code. This is the color code I would like to keep for that icon. Go to the colors of Flaticon, use this one, download it into the PNG in the 64 format, go copy it, and I'm just putting up the into the images, close this, insert this image, go to the property of the image, style to fit, sorry, remove this, keep this, and for the font color, use the same color code. Remove the borders from here. Just adjust the height. Let's 30, 35. Go to 35 by 35. And then just group all those items all together by going to selection, select all these three group and put a name of the group as user trend. So whenever you need just to drag and drop here and there, you can do this easily. So you can adjust it. Clear?
This bar graph, is it
Mm.
more convenient than
No. Just
the
I
line
have
graph?
no. A line graph when we add the other element. So for example, if I'm using this bar and line graph, so
Then we will have the trend line.
yeah, trend line. But for that we have to use one more thing. So I'm just ungrouping this, adding one more element. Let's say payments. So add the first of all, I need to change the
In user requirement, this will also be there, like which
yes, always.
graph will not to be used. Okay.
No. That we have
Unique
to
user
basically
on the okay. We need
analyze.
to, as per the numbers, we need to decide which.
Analyze. Yes.
Do
So
we have any document like that, Rahul? Like, for this type of data, we need to use this type of graph that will like.
no. So my next masterclass is going to be on this topic, in what scenario, what charts we need to use, basically.
Okay, in analytics part in the
Yeah,
next. Okay, fine.
yeah. So you can actually follow our LinkedIn page as well as keep checking our website, and there you can find it out. So you can see
Sure.
the trend of the subscriptions, which is the line chart. Let's do a couple of formatting changes. I can show you the data labels. Just use outside for both. Change the value color. I would use this one just to be more transparency. I would.
It's similar to Excel where we need to do all
Yes,
settings.
yes. That's true. So, okay. Now let's publish this. Just for now, I'm just going to publish this my production capstone project. Yes, Hari, you have, sir, what is the best visualization chart in single canvas pages? So, Hari, it depends on what business problem we are solving. Based on that, we select the chart. So, go to the app.powerbi.com. Now we have this production capstone project and this Musify cohort. Now you can see I have only this landing page visible. No other pages are showing over here. I'll click on this and it is landed to me overview page. If I go to the user KPI, you can see no other pages are also showing. All I need to navigate through pages. Clear? I can use these filters if the relationship are there. If not, yes, this one is there. The student type, family type, something like that. Okay, so that's all from this particular session for now.
Thank you, Rahul sir, for sharing your expertise and making this session insightful. And thank you to all the attendees who stayed till now and give give us your time.
So I would request one more thing. Please give this feedback on the portal. That will help us to basically convince more people to attend the masterclass in future, and that actually help us to create the validation of our product as well. So just go to the Power BI portal and give us the feedback on this masterclass.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
So, can I
Yeah,
continue, sir?
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, guys, let's watch a quick introduction video of practice, your go-to platform for real-world learning. After that, I'll guide you through our platform.
You are not competing with fellow job seekers or with your peers. You are now competing with AI. And how you are preparing for it? You are watching hundreds of YouTube videos and joined many online and offline courses, but still struggling to get a job? Do you know why? Because you only have skills and not hands-on experience. There are many courses on YouTube coding sessions which claims to work on capstone projects, but they are not based on real business scenarios. We at Practice help you to level up your skilling and upskilling game. We have deployed a platform where you can gain hands-on experience using our real business requirement, use cases, and capstone projects. We have deployed a platform of synthetic data sources which you can download in form of CSV, Excel, or can directly connect the online database using our sandbox feature. Our upcoming mentorship module will help you to connect with industry experts to answer your technical questions and help you create capstone projects. So do practice, prepare yourself, and become prosper. Join the revolution, join Practice now.
So now I will guide you through our platform, Practice, where you can gain real-world skills through hands-on practice. So this is our public page of the website, which will give you basic understanding of what exactly a platform is. We offer 4 categories: business requirement, capstone project, data sets, and use cases. And these are our products. We have also made some synthetic data sources, which you can use. So now let's talk about one dataset product in detail. This is a dataset product performance dataset, and this is the detail of the product. The business overview of the product highlights, and learning outcomes, all the details you need to understand this product. And this section, it contains the assets which are attached to this product. The first is the PDF document, which will give you the basic understanding of what exactly the product is and how you can use it. And the others are the CSV format files, which you can download and practice with them. To access this product, first you need to purchase it. After purchasing it successfully, let me once log in, I forgot to. If you are new to this, you can log in, sign up and make your account. After login, you will land up onto a dashboard page where we have all the options, the dashboard products. In the product section, you can access all our products. In the orders, you can see your purchased orders. I have already purchased one. So details for that you can see here. And the assets I was talking about earlier for the product. So once you have successfully purchased that product, you can download those assets from here. And once downloaded, you can use them in your system. The other feature we offer is the masterclass feature, where you can see all the upcoming masterclasses which we will offer. And once you have registered for those masterclasses, you can see your masterclasses in the masterclass session. And also let's talk about the account sections. You can make your profile on our page and get started with practice. So this is all about it. Thank you all for joining today and giving us your time. Thank you, Rahul sir.